All right, here we go. Willie D, welcome back to VladTV.
Absolutely, man. I appreciate you. My honor.
Of course, man, my honor as well. Coming with a quarantine edition, live from Houston, Texas.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Got to keep it going. Stay ready so we ain't got to get ready.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. First of all, Scarface was one of the first people that I actually knew that was hospitalized with coronavirus. Now, I know him somewhat, but you guys have really, really been close for a very long time, being that you're in the group, the Geto Boys together. How did that whole process play out when he first tested positive and he went to the hospital and your reaction to it?
Well, he was already in the hospital and they were running a series of tests. They didn't know what was going on and they found out that he had it. And then, everything was kind of like a blur. And so, Brad has some other issues with health already, with his health. So that exacerbated things. And so he took a harder hit than most people would have taken. You see a lot of these celebrities and stuff saying, well, I went to get tested and they say I have it and I'm going to self-quarantine for 2 weeks. And then they come out and it just looks like, oh, it's no big deal. It's a cinch. But the problem is that people who have pre-existing conditions like Brad, this virus could take them out and take them out fast. None of that 6 months to live type of stuff. We're talking about within a matter of days. You can be out of here. So Brad's doctor told him that he was surprised that he was talking to him. He said he was in such bad shape that he couldn't even believe that he was talking to him. They consider him to be a miracle, him surviving to be a miracle.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard that Scarface has had medical issues throughout, but from what I understand, this got so bad that he had kidney failure in both kidneys, right?
Yeah. Yeah, well, I'm not sure if the coronavirus is what aggravated, his kidneys and really took, blew him out, but it didn't help. So right now he's doing good. He's cool. He says he's in good spirits, but he does have to deal with dialysis and he does need to get a kidney.
Okay. Was he on dialysis before or no?
No,
Oh,
this is
wow.
all
So
new.
he's,
This is new.
whew, right. I mean, I remember Freeway, we interviewed him before he had dialysis, and he was just talking about the process that it takes, and it's very serious. He eventually got a kidney transplant.
Like this is where I get my dialysis 3 times a week. This is my fistula right here. They had to cut my arm open and move my main vein in my arm to the top and connect it to a major artery. So they give me dialysis 3 times a week right here.
Let them know what go on though inside. What's constant, like.
Oh yeah, it's like a
people don't-
constant. This joint is always vibrating because it's where the blood flow goes through. So
Yeah.
when I first got it, it was like hard to get used to when I went to sleep. Like it's all the way up here to like my underarm, so it just be vibrating all the time. It just felt crazy, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
Which was allowed him to get off of it, but it's a long process because Scarface is in the hospital right now as we speak. He never went home.
No. He's out now.
Oh, he's out now.
Yeah,
Okay.
he was released, I think, what's today, Friday? I think he got out 8maybe Tuesday.
Okay. No, I just saw a
Something
new
like that.
video on your YouTube, I guess.
Yeah, he's
Okay.
out.
He's out. Thank God.
He's out. He
Thank
got a
God.
fresh haircut and everything. Yeah.
Right, because just today we lost Fred the Godson.
Yeah.
He was on a respirator in the hospital. We had posted a story, and the doctor told his wife he might not make it, and he was on a 70% respirator, and he ultimately did make it. And this was actually the first person that I know personally who died from coronavirus.
Yeah. I was telling my boy Nino, who everybody else know as Gorgeous George, the pimp god, that you give it time and all of us are going to know someone personally who has died of coronavirus. When me and him was talking the first time, and he was saying, when we was talking about coronavirus, he was saying, man, I don't believe this stuff is real, man. Who do you know that has it, man? I was like, nobody personally. Well, see, and I don't know anybody. I said, dude, it's a new thing and it's moving rapidly. It's gonna get to us. Trust me. We're gonna all know. I say, this is what I told him. I say, within a couple of weeks. I said, this thing is moving so fast. Within a couple of weeks, we're all gonna know somebody who has it. If we don't know them personally, we're gonna know them through somebody we know personally. We're gonna know. And then you give it a couple of months, we're all gonna know somebody personally who has it, and we all gonna know somebody personally, perhaps, who's died from it. And a lot of people is not taking it so seriously because they're like, well, the flu kills more people than the coronavirus. I mean, it's just a virus. I mean, it's new. It's a new thing. We have the flu. We have a grip on the flu. We know exactly what we're dealing with. We know what we're dealing with influenza. We know exactly what we're dealing with all of that. This is something new, and we have to corral it, and eventually the numbers will slow down. It'll tip off, but for right now, you don't just say, well, because it's not killing as many people as the flu and all that stuff, we should just ignore it. No, we should try to get a grip on this thing right now so that we can minimize the effects of it and the damage that it is going to cause. So I say, I'm the type of person, I'd rather err on the side of caution than to just be out there willy-nilly and just doing whatever, thinking that everything cool, just because it hasn't hit me directly.
Yeah, and I like to say this. A lot of people have this, a lot of young people have this sort of YOLO, you only live once mentality. You hear people say, well, when it's your time to go, it's your time to go. You don't really have any say in it. But I personally don't know any older people who don't wear seatbelts every day.
Yeah.
I don't know a single one.
You know why? Because older people understand that, yes, we all got to go. And we're all going to go at something one day. But there are some things that you can do to rush it. If you're driving down the street and a train is coming and you try to beat that train and that train smashed your ass to smithereens, was it your time to go or did you rush it? If you go out there and join a gang and get killed, was it your time to go or did you rush it? You see, yes, people that don't join gangs get killed, but people that join gangs get killed a whole lot faster, a whole lot sooner, and a whole lot more frequently than people who don't.
Right, because I just interviewed Freeway Ricky, and something very interesting came up in our conversation. He said, I believe it was in St. Louis. He was doing a radio show, and there was a guy there with him, and he was talking about the murder rate in St. Louis. And he said that when he researched all the people that got killed that year, none of them had a high school diploma.
Huh.
Which is not going to be 100% across the board, obviously. But in that particular city, in that particular year, everyone who was killed did not graduate from high school. And Freeway started thinking about the correlation between your level of education and your ability to talk your way out of a bad situation that might get you killed. That the smarter you are, the more chance you have of survival. The guy was saying how everyone who got killed that year in St. Louis didn't have a high school diploma.
Yep.
So there's a correlation between not being smart and getting killed.
Yep.
Talk about that.
Well, we were doing the interview. The guy was inside the studio with us when he said that. And he was basically saying that all the people that year had gotten killed, none had a high school diploma. And what that told me was that people didn't use their minds well enough to stop somebody from killing them. They couldn't talk themselves out of the killing, or they didn't handle it the right way that it should have been handled. But for some reason, they got themselves killed. And it was a correlation with not having education that did that.
Well, I think that comes down to common sense, not book sense, because I don't have a high school diploma either, but I saw people getting killed. I'm an odds man. So I see people getting killed doing certain things. So I know, well, perhaps I shouldn't do that, because people frequently get killed when they do that type of stuff. You see, some of this shit is just common sense. Like, I realized early on that if you go around injecting yourself into other folks' business, you're going to find yourself in a bad situation. If you're the type of person, you're a bully, sooner or later the bully going to get bullied. If people who go to the club, before they went to the club and they had a chip on their shoulder, because there are people that go out with their boys, and they're tough. They go out and in their minds, they're gonna kick some ass. Anybody get out of line, we're gonna whoop some ass. I don't know why they thinking about whooping people and fighting and stuff instead of like trying to snatch up a girl. But there are dudes that go out there with that mentality, like, if somebody get out of line, we're gonna click on them, we're gonna whoop them. But they don't think about what the other person might do. They only think about what they're gonna do. If they thought about what the other person would possibly do to them, before they went out, they'd say something along these lines. All right, look here, Lil Ray. We finna go out to the club, man. We're gonna be our usual selves. We're gonna do a little drinking or whatever. Anybody get out of line, we're gonna ride on there, we're gonna whoop them up. We're gonna handle our business. And tonight I'm gonna get killed though. This time I'm gonna get killed. So what I want you to do is, I want you to have my Nike collection. You can have all my Jordans. Let your sister have the car because she got to go to school. I don't want her catching the bus. Tell mom I got some money in the attic, and tell everybody I love them, man. And I'm gonna make one stop before I go out there, because I got to go over here to my girl house, and I'm gonna kiss my baby and kiss my woman and let them know I love them. And then I'm gonna go over here and get killed. Oh, and I'll bury this the suit I want you to bury me in. Man, to tell them don't be putting too much makeup on me and shit, man, because I don't like all that, man. Tell that mortuary, man, you let them know, man. Like, you would really plan it all the way out. But they don't plan on what other people could possibly do to them. They only think about what they're gonna do to somebody else. So early on, I was cognizant of what the other person might do. Like, I never underestimate people. I don't give a damn about size. I wrote size ain't shit for Bushwick Bill. All right? So I don't care about size. Likewise, there are other people who don't care about size. And if you look at death row, I remember a few years ago, I looked at the people that were on death row, and most of those guys were under 6 feet tall and 160 pounds soaking wet. Little cats squeezing that trigger. So there are guys that, because they got some size on them, they're quick to fight, quick to swing on somebody. Oh, little old nigga, I'll whoop your ass. I've heard people say that in the club. Little old nigga, man, this little nigga. Boom! Rap, bro. It's a rap. So I never underestimate people based on size. Even when I'm dealing with my nieces and nephews, most of my nieces and nephews are grown now, but when they were little, my sister used to call me, my sisters, they would call me to come physically discipline them when they would get out of line. And I'd be like, hey, don't call me for that shit, because I'm not going to be the whoop-ass uncle. That ain't me. Now, if you want me to come talk to them, I'll come talk to them. But I'm not going to be putting my hands on these kids, and I don't want them to think of me. I don't want them to be fearing me when they think of me, you know? I don't want them to be in fear. So I'll come talk to them if they have an issue, you know, they need some help with something. You know, you can call me for that, but don't call me to come whoop them, because I'm not going to be the whoop ass uncle. All right. Now, my nieces and nephews, I noticed that, and along with other kids in my family, small kids in my family, that some people in the family would often disrespect the kids just because they could, and they were more powerful than the kids. They looked down on the kids, right? And just because they could. And I never disrespected my nieces and nephews. To this day, they hesitate to even cuss around me because they have so much respect for me. Whereas, you know, some of my other people that are around my age, they don't too much care to watch what they say, you know, and measure their words as much. But that's because I value human beings, not based on how their age or how much money they have, what their ethnicity is, all this type of stuff. You know, I treat people like I want to be treated.
Yeah. Yeah, man. That's that story about planning to die when you go to the club. Really, just I was not ready for that. I was absolutely not ready for the punchline of that story. The only people who actually do that are like suicide bombers. They plan it all the way out. They said, okay, I'm going to put this bomb in my car. Mm-hmm. You're going to give my family this much money. I'm going to go ahead and make this video to explain why it is I'm doing this. Mm-hmm. And then I'm going to go to heaven and get my virgins. Okay.
But you know what I think that they don't plan on sometimes is the pain they're going to leave behind in regards to their family members, the people that they love the most, the people that they say that I'm doing this for them. You know, I'm doing this out of respect and regard for them. I don't think they plan for how those people, not the loss, but more so the embarrassment that doing something like that will cause to your people, because now for the rest of their lives, they're cursed with being your relative, and they have to answer for your misdeeds. People are going to be questioning them, and they got some of them have to change their names because people hear a certain name and it's like dun dun dun, you know, like whoa, you know, are you akin to such and such such, you know? So that's a lifelong burden that they leave on their loved ones when they commit those type of acts.
As we're doing this interview, the governor of Georgia said that he's opening up the beauty shops and the barber shops and everything else like that. Ludacris, who grew up in Atlanta, Georgia, and I believe still lives there, did a post. He said, guess who is open to do your hair, nails, and eyebrows? The funeral home. Huh. If you want an appointment, keep running around.
Absolutely.
The funeral home is open to do all that stuff you're looking at. I'm sorry, man. I'm laughing because it's just kind of funny, you know, the way he phrased it. But I just can't believe what some of these southern states are doing between Georgia opening things back up. Florida has opened up the beaches. And then in your home state, the lieutenant governor said there's some things more important than living. I'm seeing this in the South right now. I'm sorry. This is the common denominator right now. Not to say that the Northerners are any smarter or not as smart, but why is this only happening in the South?
Well, the thing about it is that it's happening at the behest of Donald Trump. And he's an Easterner. Okay.
Right. Well, just to be fair, Donald Trump did speak out today that he doesn't think what the governor of Georgia is doing is a good idea.
Faking. He's faking. Keep in mind, Donald Trump wants the nation to open up more than anybody.
Right. He said Easter. And remember originally he said Easter is going to open back up.
And he also called all of those governors one by one to try to influence them to open their states back up. Okay? And then he fall back. Keep in mind, Donald Trump, he is the ultimate flip-flopper. He will go his thing is like to move in whatever direction is going to benefit him at that moment. He will flip-flop. His whole presidency has been about flip-flopping. So the dude cannot be trusted. Everything that they're doing, he's in agreement to. And what's going to happen is that he likes to go on record to say, well, I told him it was a bad idea. He'll have something else that say, I thought it was a good idea. But if things work out, he's going to take all the credit. Right now, he's saying that each governor has the power to call their own shot. And I let them know that. Think about how he worded that. I let them know that, like he had to give them permission. So if things work out, he's going to take the credit. If it's a bust, he's going to point the finger at every single one of those governors. He's going to throw every single one of them under the bus because that's his MO.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that the lieutenant governor of Texas said there's more important things than living. Like, you really had to just scratch your head on that and say, this really came out of his mouth on live television.
Yeah.
I can imagine having a conversation with your friends and saying some ignorant shit like that, and then, they're clowning you and you're like, oh yeah, right, that was stupid. No, he decided to, into a microphone on live television, say there's more important things than living. How did you take that, being a Texas resident, a lifetime Texas resident? This is who's representing, he's speaking on your behalf right now.
Yeah, it's further confirmation that the dude is a nutcase. It's further confirmation that he don't care about the citizens of Texas. He don't care about the people. He's in it for himself. He and the rest of his goons, they are out for themselves, man. And it's just amazing how there are a number of people out there, a considerable amount of people out there that will fall for that. I mean, the only reason why he would say it is because he knows that he can get away with it. One thing about politicians is that they don't like being fired. They're going to do whatever they have to do within the scope of retaining their employment. They don't like being fired. It is very hard to get knocked off as a politician and to rebound because nobody wants to put their money behind a loser. So you got to win. Once they get in, you notice a lot of these politicians, especially in Congress, they're in their 20, 30, 40, 50 years, and none of them have anything to show that can show the people exactly what they did to enrich the quality of their life. None of them have that type of information readily available because they're just in there talking pretty. That's one thing most politicians have in common. They can talk their asses off. They can talk, and they're very convincing.
Well, one of the most disturbing things that I've seen recently is this. It's essentially established around the world that the coronavirus started in Wuhan, China, with Chinese people. You fast forward a few weeks, and you're getting these really disturbing videos, like McDonald's doesn't allow Black people to go into their facilities in China. And there's an actual laminated sign that they show these people. And when I first saw it, I said, okay, this just might be somebody trolling or something like that, until McDonald's actually issued an apology. When the corporate offices say, yes, this happened and we're very sorry, you know that this was not trolling. You know that there was an employee in that McDonald's that was telling Africans not to go in there. And then you start seeing their signs all across various Chinese cities and so forth. And you sit back and you say, okay, hold on a second. You mean to tell me that Chinese people started this, but they're blaming black people on spreading it? What type of ignorant, backward shit is this? Like, it really was like, I mean, it made me angry. I mean, how'd you feel when you saw that?
More confirmation of who they are, just the type of people that they are. When Chinese people in America or Asian people in America was being disrespected and pushed around, blamed for the coronavirus, there was a major outcry in the US and a push from celebrities, public figures, and just regular people who were saying, hey, we're in this together. Let's stop being xenophobic. Let's stop abusing Chinese people and accusing them. We're all in this together. Let's stick together. Let's go out and support Chinese businesses, Asian businesses. Let's do that. We need unity at this time. We're all suffering. Well, all of those voices are conspicuously silent now that the shoe is on the other foot, and the Chinese people are blatantly abusing Africans and people who look like Africans, because there are Americans, Black Americans in China also, that are being evicted from their homes, being thrown out of hotel rooms into the streets. They can't get on a bus, get on a plane and go back home because the airports are shut down. So it's almost like they're hoping that the elements take them out. Like they're hoping that these people just get out on the streets and they're going to starve them, because you also can't serve them any food. They can't buy food from the groceries. They cannot go shop or anything. So it's almost like they want people to just deteriorate on the streets. So now you have Africans who are detaining Chinese people and saying, we want y'all out of here. If y'all gonna treat our people like that, we're gonna treat your people like that. And it really should be happening all over Africa, not just in Nigeria or a couple of spots. They should be doing it. It should be mass exodus. Like they shouldn't even deport them. They should just put them out into the streets the same way that they're doing Africans. I mean, I think that they're really showing their true colors. We've been having this conversation for a long time. And so my thing is, there are going to be Asian people, some who I know personally, who are going to get offended by me saying this. But where was your voice when the African people in China were being abused? Like almost everybody had something to say when the Asian people in America was being abused and being discriminated against. I didn't even know that Asian people gave a damn about social issues in America until the Asian people started being attacked and discriminated against because of coronavirus. I've never heard Asian people speak out against social injustice, ever. And sure enough, now that it don't affect them in China, they're not saying anything. They're quiet as church mice. So I say that people need to understand, Black people in particular, that Black people need to get used to fighting their own battles and knowing that we're in this shit on our own. Like we cannot rely on outsiders, people that outside of our community, to fight these battles. Everybody is concerned about their own first and foremost. And hey, I ain't even mad about it. But to discriminate against people, I'm fine with me doing my thing and, over here and you doing your thing over there, but don't come fucking with me. Don't try to make my life harder than what it already is. And that's what the people over there in China is doing. They're trying to make those people's lives harder than what it is in the middle of a pandemic. You got people that got roofs over their heads who are suffering right now, and these are people who had a roof over their head, and they just throw them out into the streets like bombs. That ain't right, man. That ain't right. And Chinese people, the Asian community, they need to be called out for their inactiveness. They need to be called out. They don't get a pass on this one.
Well, one of the things that seems to be a very polarizing issue on VladTV whenever I've mentioned it is Bill Gates and vaccinations. Now, I read an article, I believe it was in The Atlantic, where Bill Gates said that he's working on 7 different vaccines right now for coronavirus. And he's actually building the factories of all 7, knowing that only probably 2 of them will actually work. So he's going to throw away billions of dollars of his own money because it's so important to speed up the production. If you wait until, okay, this is the one that's going to work, now we're going to run and build the factory, you're going to waste months, and a lot of people are going to die in the process. So he's actually throwing away billions of dollars to make sure that more people survive. Bill Gates has given away more money than anybody, I think, in human history. But you always see this, I'm not going to take the Bill Gates vaccine. You always just, the theories, the conspiracy theories that Bill Gates went down to Africa and vaccinated a bunch of African kids and all of them got paralyzed, and there's some sort of evil underlying mission of Bill and Melinda Gates. Me personally, I'm vaccinated right now for the flu. When all this started, I talked to my doctor. I said, should I get the flu shot? He said, absolutely. I went down to the local CVS. I got a flu shot. When this vaccine comes out, I'm going to go ahead and get the vaccine. What's your take on vaccines?
I'm not doing it.
Really?
I do believe that the vaccines are responsible for this influx of autism in the Black community and this disproportionate influx of autism. We didn't have these type of issues in our community 20 years ago. All of a sudden, they're doing all these vaccines. And look, and this is not just, in my opinion, it's not just a theory. That was a worker at the CDC, a doctor from the CDC, who actually blew the whistle on this and said that they knew 10 years before they admitted that that those vaccines were causing autism disproportionately in Black kids, Black boys specifically. So I don't trust the vaccines. I never did. Well, I take that back. I did at one point. I tried getting vaccinated for, I tried to get the flu shot a couple of years in a row. And each time I got it, I actually got sick. And I had these horrible symptoms. And it wasn't like 1 or 2 days. It was like a couple of weeks. And I was like, shit, I'll take my chances. Rather than just injecting me and making me sick, I'd rather just take my chances. So since I've been taking my chances, I might get a little mild, scratchy throat or a cough here or a sneeze there, a sinus issue or whatever, but nothing that lasts past a couple of days. I personally believe that these people inject this stuff in there to make us sick because, the money is in the medicine. It's not in the cure.
Yeah, we'll have to agree to disagree. When that vaccine comes out, I'm going to let it settle for a little bit, but then I'm going to go ahead and take it.
Yeah, and the thing about when that vaccine comes out, everybody's going to be in a rush to get it because they're going to have a push. It's going to be a major push. Mark my words, somebody's going to come back and watch this video and say Willie D called it. There's going to be a major push for people to take that vaccine. They're going to have all kinds of cool commercials. There are going to be people throwing vaccine parties. They're going to show the celebrities getting the vaccine shot, the pretty people in society getting the vaccine shot, the cool people in society, the influential people in society getting the vaccine shot. And they are going to make it really, really cool because they know they can't force people to take the shot. If they try to force people to take the shot, the process will take much longer. So the best way to do it is to convince people that it is good for them. It is going to be beneficial to them. And some of the things that they can do to make sure that people feel that it's beneficial toward them is actually give them benefits. Like $200 rewards if you've had the vaccine, if you've taken the vaccine on your credit card, they give you $200. Or the government might send out $200 to everybody who has been vaccinated. They're going to be out here, man. They may even tell people that you can't even come to school unless you've been vaccinated. You can't get your driver's license renewed. You can't get on a plane. All of these type of things, And then but it'll be twofold. The attack will be twofold. One side of the attack is they'll tell people to get the vaccination so that they can have certain certifications, or they can have their certain licenses or whatever, permission to travel or whatever. And then the other side is just making it really, really cool to do it. That's going to be the most effective part, is trying to make it cool to do. And these fools going to walk right into it, man. And it's going to be easy. They're going to have them fall for it, hook, line, and sinker, the same way with the chips. Those microchips, same thing. They're going to make it, they're going to try to push for people to get those microchips. Can you imagine everybody walking around with microchip? That means that they don't even need the cameras no more, bro. They're not going to even need cameras. They won't even need the cameras. I mean, of course they'll have it because it's double action, but they put those microchips in you, bro. It's a wrap.
Well, why would they bother trying to put microchips in you when damn near every person walks around with their cell phone everywhere, which is completely trackable? Whenever you hear of a crime getting committed, if you read the details of it, it'll usually say, and his cell phone, confirmed his location at that time.
Well, you can lose a cell phone. That chip will be a lot harder to lose. Also, they're going to tell you about the benefits of the chip. No longer will you ever lose your license or your credit cards. No longer will if your child comes up missing, we're going to be able to find them. And then if somebody puts a chip inside of their kid, think about this. What do you think will happen right now if somebody puts a chip inside of their child and their child gets kidnapped, and the police go right to them and find the child within minutes? Just find them, just like that. Or within a couple of hours, they find them. And then then the parent get on TV and say, well, I put that chip inside of her just in case because, I thought it was a great idea and it was just a no-brainer. And thank God for the chip. And they'll be using it. They're going to make commercials out of it. They're going to have that thing on loop everywhere you go. And then people are going to, you know what? Because that's one of parents' worst fear, is for their children to be snatched from them. That is a huge fear for parents all over the world. So if you can take that type of measure to protect your child, I think a lot of people buy into that.
All right, final question before I let you go. Right now, The Last Dance is running on ESPN, which is the Michael Jordan definitive documentary. Mm-hmm. So everyone is praising Jordan, everyone's talking about how he's the greatest ever and so forth. But you have a history of the exact opposite. In fact, I believe you call him a bitch on Coon 2, one of your songs. Mm-hmm. Do you remember the exact lyric?
Michael Jordan. Pull it up. You got my lyrics? I don't know. I can't remember.
I can't find the lyrics online.
Yeah. What did I say? Michael Jordan is a hoe bitch. You never cared about the blacks. Man, fuck this dude. I don't know. I can't remember. But whatever I said, I meant it.
Okay. Why is it that you consider Michael Jordan a bitch?
Well, the thing is that he's a lot of things. I just, at that point, that's all I could, when you're mad at somebody, you just say whatever come to mind. That just came to mind, but he's a lot of things. But the bottom line is that the dude is is he's selfish. You know, like if you look at the way he moves, yeah, he's a great basketball player. You can't take that from him. I've always said that he's the greatest basketball player I ever seen play. But as a human being, that's what concerns me. Like, I'm more concerned with what type of person a person is than what they do for a living, what their title is. You see? So Jordan has a history of being an asshole. I heard that he said that he himself said that he thought that that documentary would make him look bad. This is what he said. These are his words. So I say to that, he don't need the documentary to make him look bad. He can handle that all by himself. And he has handled that throughout his life, all by himself. The dude has a well-documented history of shitting on people, both close to him and from a distance. One of the things that, I'll tell you a couple of things that really run me hot about dude. Now I hear people saying all the time, well, man, people take their money and do what they want to do with their money. You can't tell somebody how to spend their money and da-da-da. That's all fine. But when I look at all of these people, and another thing, he's not making people buy his sneakers. I get that. I get all of that. But when you see a pattern of people who are buying your products, and for the most part, these are people who are from the hood, and many of these people are fighting to get to these sneakers and killing themselves, killing people over all this type of stuff, and they purposely only put out a limited edition to create the frenzy. And so you have all of this chaos and stuff going on. No other companies would do something like that. Business owners, they would put some type of measure in place to try to protect the public. They wouldn't just say, well, you're on your own. You know, they could easily put out a lot more sneakers than they do and make sure that everybody have what they need instead of having people fighting. For instance, the iPhone costs more than sneakers do. A pair of Jordan sneakers do, depending on what kind you buy, especially. But, you know, most Jordan sneakers are under $1,000, right? So the thing is that for Jordan heads, those people that love those Jordans, like you, Vlad, those people that love those Jordans.
I like Jordans. I admit
those people that love those Jordans say, no, you can't put out too many because then you're gonna cheapen the value and they're not gonna be as worth as much money and blah blah blah. So again, I come back to what's more important: life or profit. You know, money or life. And so that's one situation. The other is how he treats people more than anything. People personally, how he treats people. What really got me is how he treated Chamillionaire. Chamillionaire is a good dude. Everybody that know Chamillionaire would say the same thing. Chamillionaire is a good dude. And for him to shit on Chamillionaire the way he did, that was uncalled for, bro. And Chamillionaire's claims were substantiated by other people who was actually there. So I knew he wasn't lying anyway, because I just look at both of their characters. And, you know, it's like knowing somebody and you're like, well, I know this dude. And I'm pretty sure based on his character versus his character that he's telling the truth.
Well, yeah, no, I was just going to say that we actually made a cartoon out of that Chamillionaire story. I don't know if you ever saw it. It's the Hip Hop Stories. Yeah, we actually animated that whole scene with Michael Jordan dissing Chamillionaire and everything else like that.
This is just that one moment I'm gonna ask Mike for a picture. I went over there, man, I don't mean to be rude, but Mike, I just want to know if I can get a picture. He said, oh, hell nah, man, I ain't taking no pictures with no niggas. I kind of got stunned for a second because I was like, wait a second, I don't think he heard. I turned back and my boys was just looking at me like, damn, you know what I'm saying? So I kind of thought that he didn't hear what I said, and I was like, I just bid $7,000 for a Michael Jordan jersey. And then he goes, I tell you what, you pay $15,000 right now for a jersey from me and I'll take a picture with you And keep in mind, Michael Jordan's real tall. He's looking down on me. And I'm looking up at him like, man, I've never been so heated in my life, man. My heart just started racing like, I'm about to steal off on this fool. He said, I don't give a nigga.
And I remember knowing that story. This one time I was at the Jordan party that I go to most years, and I was there a little bit early, and Michael Jordan was kind of standing around, not too far from me, and I could not bring myself to go over there and ask for a picture because
the story in the back of your head.
The story, because I'm like, I'm not just going to be disrespected by somebody.
Right.
I don't care if you're Jordan. I don't care if you're the Dalai Lama. I don't care if you're, Trump. Like, you're not just going to disrespect me to my face. So it made me not go over and get a picture with someone who I admire, which is very rare for me. Usually I'll ask whoever. I'm around celebrities all day long anyways. But yeah, I mean, I've heard those types of stories about Jordan. And, you could say, well, he's also the most famous living human being right now. And I'm sure it gets kind of annoying being that at certain points in your life, and you just want to live your life. So I don't know what it's like to be Michael Jordan.
But the thing is, I'm nowhere on his success level or whatever, as far in terms of money or whatever. But as a human being, I'm more successful than him, because I don't shit on people. I don't shit on people. I treat people like I want to be treated. I treat human beings with decency, a certain amount of decency, unless, of course, they violate me. Now, you violate me, that's a different story. But I don't care what you do for a living. I don't care how famous you are. I don't care that you scored a fucking 1,000 points in one basketball game. I don't care if you can actually fly, motherfucker. I don't care. I mean, you could literally know how to fucking fly. And it would not impress me if you were not a good person. I'm more concerned with what kind of person you are. Same thing with women. I like a woman with a nice body, cute face. I like that. But a lot of these dudes are getting in trouble with the body and the face. They getting in trouble because, oh, girl ain't got nothing between her ears. It's all air between her ears. And these women giving some of these dudes all kinds of blue. And, you look up all the time and you see these bad women, as far as looks. You see these bad, fine to the bone women. And you hear the scandals. They're everywhere. They're all over social media, all in the papers. You hear these scandals all the time about all of these women, this brick house type women. And they talk about some of the scandalous stuff some of these women has done. For instance, Apryl Jones.
Apryl Jones, who has 2 kids with Omarion,
yeah,
and was dating his
perfect example.
Little Fizz.
Jay-Z had a song, he said, you don't get a nigga back like that. Yeah, you can get me back, but you don't get a nigga back like that. This chick is like a poor excuse for a woman and a mother. Because if there's just certain things, man, that's against the code, bro. It's just certain things that are against the code, and people get killed for less than that. This is a dude that know your dude's secrets. This is a dude that's been around your dude, and they done kicked it. They had a so-called brotherly bond. So, and out of all these dudes in the world you could have gotten with, you link up with a first-class sucker? That make you a sucker. You see? And then you bring this dude around this man kids. I can understand where Mario come from, like I ain't phased, blah, blah, blah. But trust me, bro. He was phased. He just did the right thing in that interview with you. He did the right thing. He was politically correct, and he came off, he laid it out there like a player's supposed to lay it out there. So I salute him for that. I don't know if I would have said anything differently.
When that whole situation became public, how did you feel about it?
I don't feel no ways. I don't feel any way about it. I think that if they're happy, then they should be happy. You know what I'm saying? I think that they, I think they should change the narrative though, because what they're doing well, first of all, let me just say, you know, she's still the mother of my children. So, you know, it doesn't matter, you know, or I should say that when something affects her, it affects my kids, and that affects me. That affects me, my kids. But what she does is, you know, live your life. You know what I mean? Live your life. I think people should do whatever makes them happy. I think they should change the narrative, though. You know, because if it's their so-called happiness, then I shouldn't be a part of that. You know.
You know, that chick is one of the worst type of chicks. But you had dudes saying, man, I get it. Man, he ain't got to have, I hit that. I heard dudes say that they'll knock down Stacey Dash. Stacey Dash couldn't get my dick hard. I don't care how she looks. She just can't do it. She don't do it for me. You know why? Because her brain is corrupt, bro. Her mind is gone. Like she's nothing. Like she threw a whole race of people under the bus for profit and acceptance from another group of people. How could somebody like that stimulate me? Some dudes don't care. I get it. Some dudes are the dogs that society say they are. I'm not that dude. I'm cool on Stacey Dash. If I got close enough to Stacey Dash and nobody was looking, there probably wouldn't be Stacey Dash anymore. Okay? So this is what I'm talking about, bro. Like I'm really about what kind of person you are. There are women out there that society may think that don't look as hot as Stacey Dash. But because of her heart, her mind, I would give her more access at my heart, at me, than I would Stacey Dash. I would get more excited. I would get more excited for her because of what kind of person she is. You know what I'm talking about, man. You've been around, you know, like you know when you get with a woman that's riding for you, and sometimes she'll do something, you be like, oh yeah, I picked a winner. I got a winner, boy. That's, you know, that shit turn you on, boy. That's a turn on. That's a turn on to me. I'm like, you do something for me like that? Like, damn, man, people don't make these type of women every day. They don't get out. You know what? Damn, you know, even if I'm tired, man, let me get on here and put this work on in, man, you know. Let me put this work in, baby. Damn, baby, you make me proud. Damn.
And that's how we're going to end it. Willie D, man, always a pleasure.
Absolutely.
On and off camera, you know, you're one of the people I consider a real friend. We stay in contact on a regular basis.
Likewise.
People always claim that I know everybody. I'm everyone's friend, but you and I are actually friends. I'm glad that you're safe and healthy right now. You know, my thoughts and prayers to Scarface, that he pulls through this, you know, gets a kidney transplant if that's what's needed right now. You know, and at the end of the day, man, we're gonna make it through it. We're gonna make it through this, and we're gonna be all the wiser. And I can tell you, and this isn't based on any sort of medical facts or whatever else, but as when I look at my life before the virus, when I didn't wash my hands on a regular basis, when I was around people more often, I would get somewhat sick. Not fully sick, but, you know, I would have sore throats or I'd have sneezes or whatever else. But now that I'm actually staying much cleaner, I feel overall healthier.
You know what, man? I was looking at you, right? I didn't pay attention until like you just started talking about 30 seconds ago or so. And I was like, Corona looks good on you. You actually look more healthier today in the midst of a pandemic than you have, you know, when everything is, you know, all cool or supposed to be cool. Yeah. So you're taking care of yourself. That's good.
Yes, sir. And out of every tragedy, I always say the people who live through the tragedies, they have to look at why certain people didn't make it, and they have to internalize it and change their behavior. You know, I learned when Nipsey Hussle got killed that I need to watch my words around the people who I know look up to me, and not and not dismiss people and be extra polite to those people. Because I see what happens when you just speak loosely to someone who's going to be hurt by your words. And you saw what happened to Nipsey Hussle. You know, I learned by watching, you know, what happened to Pop Smoke to be extra careful of putting your address out on the internet. Not to say that that's what happened, but that's one of the theories, that he had flashed his address hours before he had a home invasion. You have to learn from the people who make it through coronavirus. It's very, very sad what happened to Fred the Godson, but Fred the Godson was in very bad shape physically. He always, you know, I don't know, I assume that he was born with it, but he was very, very overweight every time I ever saw him. And whether he took it seriously throughout his life or not, I don't know. I have my condolences to his family, but you have to look at that and say, look, I got to get in better shape. I got to make sure that if something hits me, my immune system, my health, my breathing, my cardiovascular system can prepare myself for that. You know what I'm saying? So that's my advice to everybody. Take people's losses and internalize them and make yourself get through these things.
Yeah, it's one of those things where people say experience is the best teacher. Experience is not the best teacher. Other people's experience is the best teacher.
Yep. Facts. Willie D, always a pleasure and an honor. Until next time.
Absolutely. Thank you, man.
Peace.
No more talk.